The Emerald Knight, Chapter 11. Where wonders was misfortunes, Clyn, Morgan warned, holding the man whose slurred speech had given way to song under one arm. Clyn, it is the middle of the night, and troubled times have been. Clyn continued, and clung to Morgan's side with a smile. Clyn, shut up, Morgan hissed. You're gonna wake Bruana. Where bliss and blind confusion have come and gone again, Clyn sang, and Morgan lifted him from the floor and threw him over his shoulder. Each lord dug in with pleasure and grabbed at what lay near. 12 platters piled past measure with wine and foaming beer. Morgan sensed that he would not be able to achieve his goal, and with a sigh gave up. Under his breath, he began to sing along as he carried the king down the long hall to his chambers. Men sat there gaping, gasping. His deep voice blended well with Clyn's tenor, and the song began to sound a bit more palatable. At its strange immortal sheen, as if a ghost were passing, every inch in green. Clyn actually fell silent and tried to push himself up on Morgan's shoulders, but the man seemed to pay him no attention as he went on. He looked a lightning flash. They say he seems so bright. No mortal would dare to clash against the Emerald Knight. Clyn let himself fall limp in Morgan's grip as he threw open the door to his sitting room. I swear to God, Clyn, if you start crying over a song that you started, I will slit your throat and let you bleed out all over your nice rug. Morgan bounced him for good measure and walked through the empty chamber. He threw open the door to the bedroom, and Orinda sat up from where she had lain. Obviously she had not awoken. It seemed that sleep had eluded her, and now she watched them with a scowl. How bad is it? She asked as Morgan threw Clyn onto his back on the bed, probably with more force than was absolutely necessary. Clyn bounced, giggled, and threw both hands over his face. I'm fine, he said after a pause. It's not ideal, Morgan answered, and now it's your problem. Good night. Morin, wait, Clyn begged, pushing himself up on one arm and stretching a hand out as if he would be able to touch him. Don't leave mad. Come on. I'm not angry, Clyn. Morgan put his hands on his hips and stared down at him. But I need to go home. It's after midnight. Then stay. You can't make that journey up that mountain tonight. Just stay here. Come to bed, Clyn pleaded, eyes trying desperately to focus. Clyn, Orinda warned, and he scooted closer to her. We have beds, right? We got this whole huge place. Clyn scooted until his head rested on her chest and looked up at her with his big, watery eyes. Oh my God, she sighed and added, He is right, Morgan, you're welcome to say, though Anilla has already returned to the Draken. Perhaps I should. Morgan turned his gaze to the window. Randy, Clyn asked, moving in jerking motions as if he might fall. He spun himself until he was facing her. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but seemed to change his mind. Instead, he leaned in and pressed his lips to her neck. Clyn, she warned. Well, Morgan's eyes grew wide. Have fun with that. Good night. Don't you... God damn it, Morgan, it's your fault he's like this. Don't just dump him here and leave me, Orinda hissed as he walked to the doorway. What am I supposed to do, Orinda? You married him. He's broken. If you didn't want to deal with all the... He stopped himself as Clyn slid one hand under her nightshirt, pulling up the fabric and exposing her bare flesh. I'm gone. I'm not gonna stand here and watch this. Good night. Enjoy your... Good night. He slammed the door on his way out, and Orinda reached for Clyn's hand to pull him away. Clyn, she said, voice firm. Stop. Please? He looked at her from his position, where he had been kissing gently at her collarbone. Clyn, you're drunk, she sighed. Just go to sleep. She shoved him away and pulled the blanket up to her neck. Clyn watched her for a few seconds before trying to stand and falling back against the bed. She sighed, cursed, and sat up. How did you even... Are you wet? She asked. I took a bath, he said, as if it were interesting. I don't know how I closed it. Morgan, I bet. Clint, don't try to get up. Just. She sighed and pulled the shirt he was attempting to wrestle over his head for him. Did you comb your hair? He shook his head and she sighed. Wait here, I swear to God, I don't even know why you have it if you're not going to take care of it. Just cut it off. Nobles are supposed to. He searched for the right word as he watched her walk to the vanity, retrieve a comb, and climb into bed behind him. Be pretty. You can be pretty with short hair, Arinda huffed. And will you nobles sit around arguing about who's prettiest? I'll try to run the fucking empire. By Theseus, Clint, this is a mess. I'm sorry, he said, though he didn't even really feel the pain as she tugged on his scalp, and added, I will do a headache in the morning. Yes, she agreed. You do that. Clint, you have got to get your shit together. I can't take much more of this. I'm sorry, he said again, and it angered her. No, you're not. That's your response to everything. And he felt the tangle she jerked free as his head snapped back with it. The stone in his chest pulsated, and he fought it. I am, he said when he was able to breathe again. I know I am a mess, Rindy. The problem isn't. Isn't what? I don't know. That's not what it is. His words were slurring, and he kept one hand pressed against the place where his heart was once. Is that I don't know how to. You don't know how to what? She asked, as she was able to bring the comb through the strands without causing him pain. All the knots seemed to be gone, and she smoothed the tresses into shape. Anything, he explained with solemnity. Live? I don't know how to be. I don't know anything, Rendy. I can't figure it out. He ran his fingers through his hair, amazed that she had fought and tamed it so quickly. As she stood, picking out the blonde tangles from the teeth of the comb, working her way back to the vanity to put everything away. When she came back to bed, he stopped her with a hand on her forearm and pulled her close, until he was able to wrap his arms around her, engulf her, resting his head between her breasts. He held her so tightly her back arched, and she placed her hands gently on his shoulders. Clint, that hurts, she said softly. You're hurting me. I'm sorry, he said to the place her heart would be, and though his grip loosened, his face dug deeper, as if he were trying to burrow into her flesh. Let me lie down, all right? Her voice had lost its edge, and she pushed him, kindly but with a firm hand, until he was forced to release her or pull her down with him. He chose to let her go, and she crawled into bed beside him. He wrapped an arm around her again and pulled her close. I love you, he said, staring into her eyes, and she reached out a hand to cup his face. You are difficult to read, old man. She chuckled. Don't say anything else. Don't apologize for Garen. I see it in your eyes. Let that thought drift away. Relax. I love you, he said again, and she slid her hand under his arm and allowed it to come to rest between his shoulder blades. He pulled her into a kiss and tried to pour everything that she wouldn't let him say into his body language. He held her there, overpowering and passionate, and only broke away when she whimpered against his lips. Please, he said. I need you to. I do. She sighed, but then pulled away again, giving enough distance that she was able to look into his eyes, enough space to create a small rift while he still held her. I do love you, Clint. But you're drunk, so stop. Just go to sleep. But. He trailed off. He didn't know how to tell her that he didn't believe her without angering her. Finally, he fell back on what he understood and asked again, Please. She breathed out in a huff, warm against his bare chest, and let him pull her back to him. She ran her fingertips against the light she found there, and considered what he was asking. She was concerned for him. She was annoyed with him. She had never meant for his happiness to matter to her in the way that it did. She looked from the soft glow in his chest to the deep blue of his eyes, and her mind became less important. You are beautiful, she told him. You've said twice tonight that you aren't, and you're wrong. If I had known how gorgeous Cerulean men were, I would have left my homeland much sooner. You could have all of them that you want. Clem was so earnest in his reply, and Orinda thought about setting his perfect hair on fire. "You're an idiot," she sighed, and rolled onto her back, trying to pull him with her. He gave no resistance. She wrapped both arms around his neck and pulled him into another kiss. The light began to pulsate more rapidly. He shuddered as her hands unwound themselves and traveled down his back and moved in time with her. He sat up on his knees to pull away her nightshirt and leaned forward to catch himself on the headboard as he let his gaze linger over the goddess below him. There, between her perfect breasts, shone a soft red light.